Hello, everyone. Okay. Just had to hold Hastings. He's a bit of in a sooky mood today. I'm going to do a quick video because at the moment there's just overwhelming proof all around, if you spot it, about the true position of the monarchy as a very important role within the empire, this new empire that rules the world. There's just too much proof for you to just pass it by and think of it trivially. Harry's visit to China is so serious. It should change everyone's perspective and understanding of who runs China, who controls China, and what China is. If Harry, of all people, scared of walking down roads, of even visiting UK supposedly, if he's in China and there's no real risk, that means the whole creation of China as an enemy or as an unruly rebellion, strong communist force that hasn't been planted by Britain itself and the British Empire, which it was, because the whole investment and development of China, of what it is today, was from the City of London. If this doesn't tell you, it tells you that China is not an enemy of America, it's not an enemy of UK, it's all a creation and fabrication. That's just basic understanding, and it's basic to see right here what that is. And the fact that someone so useless, so meaningless, and so trivial is there in China to fuck that whole notion up should tell you everything. It is so transparent. It's like a rubbing in our faces. That's how I see it. I usually don't get the whole they're mocking us, or they're, teasing us, they're laughing at us. But this is mockery. This really is. This is political mockery. Someone so pathetic, so no one cares, and yet he is in the highest position of power and is enabled so much, so strongly. It's almost, when I say this, it feels almost unbelievable, like it's surreal. It feels honestly so surreal, because you know why it feels surreal? Because we're not in the club, we are the peasantry, and we're meant to not know anything about what goes on behind closed doors and what Harry's true role is, or what his father's true role is, or anything like that. People are upset of the change of narrative, that Harry was just fighting for his wife's safety and whatever else, and that's the new spinning of the narrative. I mean, they've been constantly spinning narrative. They own the production lines. They own the storyline. They own the narrative. It's been completely controlled. Vacuous Meghan, created by the Royal Rota and then complained by the Royal Rota. It's all 100% under their control. The whole creation of Meghan, the whole creation of Megxit, the whole creation of even their son, I don't even know if it's the true son of the king, but that's all created. And his return is long past overdue. They need to close this narrative down because it served its purpose. His father is now positioned. And Narendra Kaur, this was in response, the whole manufactured chaos that we live in. They can stop inflation at any moment, our global inflation. They can stop the housing crisis. They can stop everything at any point, but it's all by design, and it's all been created to get us to this point. Manufactured era of chaos across the UK, Ireland, USA and Europe, where engineered polarisation, divide and rule is at the heart of everything. Gender, immigration, nationalism, race, identity, politics. Everything is a spectacle. Social media and 24/7 news cycles deliberately fuel every conflict with zero context, intelligence or honesty, and maximum hysteria. Across Europe, endless reports of violent crimes involving machetes, knives, car rammings, and sexual assaults, clearly designed to spark riots and unrest. The focus shifts to guns in the US, racial street brawls, schools, gangs, urban riots, again engineered to create division and obviously to oppose guns. Conflicts erupt between migrants, local populations, fake agitation groups created by establishment forces and authorities, police councils, and the like. This whole environment is artificial, online and in the face of the public media, of mainstream media. Political figures and influencers feed off the chaos, rallying their bases and pushing their agendas while pretending to offer solutions. Social media algorithms magnify every incident, shipping nuance and context to inflame division at every turn. This is no accident. It's a deliberate strategy to keep societies distracted, divided, and unable to challenge the real power structures behind the scenes. Why do you think the monarchy itself needed its own psyop? We are on the receiving end of a psychological warfare operations, trauma-based programming, that's definitely what I've said before, social engineering and scripted polarization. The aim is to manufacture Ordo ab Chao justification demanded by an angry public for authoritarian measures and systems ready-made waiting in the wings. Digital ID tied to digital currency, algorithmic controls, emergency powers, censorship laws, protest bans, biometric behavioral surveillance technology, facial recognition in public spaces, and predictive policing. They're already doing that now. They're doing that now through social media, through banking. They're doing that now, but they're doing it in a way that seems like still socially acceptable, or you're accepting it halfway just to have a social media account and so forth. So they're doing that now. Every time you go on an internet, on a website, they have to verify it's you. Why? You're just visiting a website. Why do you have to be verified? Things that would otherwise face massive public resistance. And this is what I'm saying, like, this is insane. What we've lived through already is just so surreal, is so insane, is so massive that it just makes me emotionally sad, just really, really sad. I don't mind if you leave my channel because you think I'm anti-Trump. I don't care. I really don't care. If you want to feed your own delusions of what happened in 2020, that's fine by me. But you choose to go against humanity, and it's as simple as that. And you think you're innocent. You think you don't have a say, or that you're just, oh, it's an accident. Oh, I didn't mean to. Oh, whatever you wanna say, you're gonna have to own it in the end anyway. So I'm really fine with whatever you choose. You can do what you want. That's what free will and free speech is for, even though that doesn't really exist. But at least I'll allow that for you. I'll allow that here. So this was in response to Narendra Kaur, or whatever her name is, who had put up this post about a PSYOP, the race riots, And this is when she all started, when she got her first job. Yeah, it always starts with the palace. It always starts with the royal family and the empire and the elite. Now, we're up to here, which is the most important part of this video. And it's going to show you who's the real boss. So, Charles has sent Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, a letter of political ties, advocating. Obviously, it's the manipulative messaging that Charles is just acting as a foreign diplomat, to help with diplomatic relations. That's a political role. Okay, that's against constitutional law. That's illegal. That breaches an oath. So again, for like the 500th time, King Charles has breached his oath that he took in 2023. He's breached his oath. He's breached the agreement with the Parliament, but the Parliament has allowed it because without their blessing, without their allowance, the king wouldn't be able to write letters and get them sent. I mean, that's what you're meant to believe as well. You're meant to believe that the Parliament ruled the king in political circumstances. And this will just show you that there's no such thing. It doesn't exist. But we're meant to believe that. And the laws are meant to support that. And his oath is meant to support that. Privately admits Charles III has written and sent it. Now, this, you might want to ask yourself, what is the point of publishing all of these articles? Shouldn't this be hidden from us? Shouldn't this stop at the point that Charles has always been like this, has always been political, and has always breached his role as well as his mother, but we haven't known and it's been hidden from us, and all we've got is this ceremonial constitutional branding? Why would they put out these articles showing us that things are changing? And it's to completely normalize it. We're now at a generation where we're not meant to know constitutional law. We're not meant to know the traditional role of the monarchy. We're not meant to know the traditional role of British Parliament, especially within the UN, the global government. We're not meant to understand how things work. We're not meant to demand compliance, even though they're our heads of state, like in the Commonwealth, even though they are, this is our monarch or our emperor of the empire that rules us, that facilitated the pandemic, that facilitated everything else that's happened to us, inflation, you name it, and it's all by design. And they could stop it today, they could stop it in a heartbeat, they could stop it any second now, and they don't. You're not meant to put those things together because you're not meant to care anymore. They're meant to be irrelevant, but they're meant to be relevant. They're meant to be relevant in the sense of being a stable force for good amidst all of this chaos that they've designed and created. So they create the problem and they provide the solution. It's a completely artificial world that we live in, an artificial empire. And the ones that are puppets, well, we're the slaves. We're the ones that they're trying to manipulate, convince, and harm, and all of that, and control population and control any dissent. But everyone else are a part of it, and they accept it. You can see in this article that this whole, like, behind the wall, behind the curtain, mainstream media know all of this. Royal experts would know all of this. Authors would know all of this, and yet they're complaining about Harry like he's some sort of big deal. They're complaining about Meghan like she's some sort of big deal. They're talking about fake children when they're meant to be some sort of big deal. And they're very aware, they've been aware for 9 years of King Charles's role, of the Queen's role, and they're aware of who they are and what they are. And they're a part of it. They're their team. And they're manipulating you, they're deceiving you, and they're pretending like these small little inconsequential things matter and affect your life when they don't, and you take the bait. And it's sad. It's truly, well and truly sad. This is a letter, 25th of May 2025. Every action, although simple in appearance, can have a great impact on mutual perception and future cooperation. Personal and official exchanges are part of Charles III's responsibility to keep good relations with countries and complex histories. So they're saying independently that this is King Charles's role. This is his political role. So he doesn't need permission from the Parliament because this is his actual role. But legally, by law, we're meant to believe that Charles, Harry, William, and Sophie, and all those fuckwits, whenever they go overseas and shake Freemason hands or do the Freemason handshake and do all of these events, and Meghan and Harry sing God Save the King when they go to Africa or Colombia or whatever, when all of them do these royal events, you're meant to believe that they get permission from the Parliament to act as diplomats. And they're just purely diplomats. It's not political. For some reason, diplomacy, foreign relations and foreign policy isn't political. That's how stupid and brainwashed people have become. And they're saying in this article that it's actually a part of King Charles's role. So he acts higher than the Parliament or equal to the Parliament because he is higher than the Parliament. Legally, as head of state, Charles is higher than Parliament. That's the order of things. You're not meant to understand that. You're only meant to understand that there's a mutual agreement between the two and they can't exist without the other, or one can not exist by the other's hand. And when one takes away the other, it's because they breach this law and this agreement. Firstly, the monarchy has to be non-political and not act as Parliament, and the Parliament has to act for England and on behalf of England. And that's the agreement, really. And if one breaches the other, they can remove each other because that's the breach of the agreement. Now, if you were to read this article without looking at this exact wording, you would think, well, how is that possible? The Parliament has obviously allowed this to happen, even though it's a breach of constitutional law and agreement. They've just permitted Charles to do this. And I guess we'll just let it slide because it's Charles, he does nothing. He's just a soft power pleb, You're not meant to think anything of him. But this actually tells you that this is his actual job. A job that's now becoming a lot more exposed, a lot more transparent and normalized. And that's the whole point of this article, is to completely normalize constitutional breaches of oaths and laws as Charles acts as the emperor of this empire, this global empire. what's very, very interesting is this point. This change, so you're meant to not think anything of it. It's just a letter to Milei, and it's just King Charles being acting as a diplomat, a soft diplomat. Nothing to it. It's all about just keeping relations, acting for the best of Britain, you know? It's just to be that really nice guy in between Parliament and the country, and just say, hey mate, we're friends. Remember, we're friends? I just want to tell you we're friends. Friends. That's what you're meant to believe. But then there's this statement, there's this paragraph that changes your whole perspective of what is actually taking place. This change in discourse represents a shift from the United Kingdom's traditional position at the UN. Now, it's only United Kingdom's position, meaning United Kingdom has a separate or different position than any other country within this global government called the United Nations, previously and formerly the League of Nations. So the UK, and as well, it's under the King, it's not under the Parliament, because we're talking about King Charles writing a letter, not the Parliament. It has nothing to do with the Parliament. The Parliament's non-existent at this point. Completely just a facade, a smoke and mirrors. You've got King Charles changing UK's position in the UN. And you wonder why Harry, William, Sophie, any royal pleb has these speeches at the UN. I've said many times that they run UN, that they own UN, but this is just another way of showing you. I mean, they're literally telling you and normalizing it. You're meant to just go, oh yeah, cool. Oh yeah, nice. Anyway, this is boring. That's me talking about just about people normalizing and accepting global democide that Trump led. It's amazing. It's truly amazing what people now believe, and that people are politically willing to deny each other, deny somebody like myself, somebody's fought for protecting humanity, and they fight for someone who never did. It's, yeah, I've got really nothing to say about that. Now, this is where it gets important with that letter. Now, this is just to technically make it clear of what the King's role is meant to be. In UK constitutional law, foreign affairs, including UN policy, fall under the royal prerogative. Fancy that. Why would the UN, the United Nations, anything related to the United Nations and with the United Kingdom, why would that fall under royal prerogative, do you think? They're not meant to have anything to do with politics. They're meant to have nothing to do with anything. They're just meant to be waving hands and helping charities. And they just act traditionally, ceremonially as heads of state. You're not meant to think anything of it. It's just silly stuff. They eat marmalade on toast. They chill out with Paddington Bear. I mean, bless them. They're just cute and righteous and pure and of divinely ordained blood. And you're meant to idolize and adulate them for nothing. Absolutely nothing other than harming you. But let's continue. Exercised by Starmer, the Prime Minister, and the Foreign Secretary Lammy, on behalf of the Crown. Legally, the UK government can change its position at the UN without needing new legislation, unless it conflicts with the current laws and treaties of the UK. The UK is above international law. The UK, British constitutional law, rules international law, rules the UN, because the UN is under international law. That's how it was created. It created an international court at The Hague, all because of World War II, which was why there was a World War II. They created it for peace, supposedly. They had no real cases, and they established this court, and then it turned into United Nations and international government. But you're not meant to believe that or know that. And this is really what it comes down to, that the UK is in charge or controls international law, and it controls the UN. And it can just change its position within the UN willy-nilly. Doesn't need a legislation to change it. Doesn't need international law to change it either. It can just change its position whenever it feels like it. And the king can act on behalf of the Prime Minister. Actually, can just completely surpass the Prime Minister and act directly, as well as his kids, his useless son, Sophie, who I don't even know who she is. And all of these royal family members can just have chats there. Legally, the king cannot act independently in foreign policy, including writing official letters to foreign heads of state like Argentina's President Milei. You're not meant to know that. Without ministerial approval, he cannot conduct independent diplomacy. But miracles occur regularly with Charles. Don't they? Don't they just? Constantly breaching his oath as monarch, and the media insidiously normalise it because you're not meant to understand constitutional law or the feudal empire's role by law. And that's the truth of it. So recent developments in the UK's UN engagement, changing its positioning. On June the 1st, so only yesterday, 2025, the UK has supported Morocco's autonomy plan in Western Sahara. It officially endorsed Morocco's autonomy plan for Western Sahara, describing it as the most credible, viable and pragmatic solution to the long-standing territorial conflict. This marks a significant policy shift, aligning the UK with France and the US in supporting Morocco's stance. It's always France and the US, isn't it? With UK. Literally, they are the three. I mean, they supported Ukraine. They supported Ukraine. They support Israel. I mean, anything. It's always France, UK, and US, because UK just controls France and US. I mean, this is meant to be, it's like a fake international government. It's an empire. Do you really think these governments have a say in what happens? And they control both sides. It's so insane. All right, this marks aligning. Despite the supporting Morocco's stance, despite the UN's continued advocacy for a referendum to determine the territory's final status. So I guess the UK has just said, we shall pass it, we shall allow it. So let us all allow it. Recommitment to multilateralism. Despite the aforementioned shifts, the UK has reiterated its commitment to the UN, emphasising the importance of the organisation in addressing global conflicts and challenges. Why would UK be in a position to do so? In a statement to the UN Security Council, I think that's February the 18th this year, the UK acknowledged that while the UN's founding mission to prevent war remains vital, the organisation must adapt to contemporary geopolitical realities. What are they adapting to? What new realities are they creating for us? They create the wars and they create the realities. So what have you got? Honestly, adapt. Honestly, just fuck off. Advocacy for UN Security Council reform. The UK has expressed support for reforming the UN Security Council to better reflect current global power dynamics. 11th of August 2024. This includes endorsing the candidacies of countries like Germany, Brazil, India, and Japan for permanent membership, aiming to make the Council more representative and effective. 21st of May 2025. So those are examples of their transitioning role to literally steer the UN or be a leading voice in the UN, however you want to term it or look at it. But the fact that the UK, without passing any law, can just change its role in the UN and not even have the Prime Minister representing that change and representing Britain, but have the King breaching constitutional law and the law and the agreement with Parliament for its very existence, for the monarchy's very existence, mind you. Remember, the monarchy came back into existence with this agreement. Yeah, it says everything. You don't need to look much further than this. You don't need to look much further than Harry just simply waltzing into China. And people and all controlled opposition media making silly jokes and pointing fingers and just, I mean, did any of them talk about the constitutional breaches in Canada? Do any of them talk about this? Do any of them talk about... No, they don't. They don't. They don't, and they won't ever. And if they do at all of a sudden, and they do as a collective, then you should really look into that. You should really, really, really look into that. It tells you a thousand, without saying much, it tells you everything. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought of just doing a video on this because it's becoming more and more transparent by the day. And I hope at least you found peace in knowing, in not being completely driven by fear, in knowing what this whole situation is about and who's the one pulling the strings. I think at this point it's almost, well, it's already past acting and time to act. But at least you have peace of mind and you understand it clearly and you see it clearly despite everything that's happening around you, that you've got a core stability and strength in you. That's what they're hoping that they completely destroy. So you never have a core, a solid strength inside of you where you speak up and you stand up for yourself. And you stand up for others and for humanity, because this is terrible. I feel like we're just living in a constant current, constantly growing democide every day. And I know it's depressing. I know it's really negative. But I am trying to give you positivity as much as it doesn't seem like it to give you a positive reality of the situation and to empower you and to try to protect and contribute towards humanity rather than just being a bystander and allowing inhumanity to drown us out. That's my hope. So thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you soon.